welcome back to my channel. This is Dom, and welcome back to another one of my updates on Painting Frenzy and my gaming habits over the last week or so. So yeah, time for another update. Definitely this painting has slowed down, although this week I've gone through the 5,000 points in the OPC challenge on the Plastic Crack podcast Facebook page, the community run thing. Basically you get points for figures you complete. So it's 10 points per 28mm infantryman, for instance. So I've done quite a lot. It has slowed down a fair bit, but still got through quite a bit. Although one of the things I mentioned before that keeps me motivated with my painting is having multiple projects on the go, and also occasionally changing up. So this week definitely I've changed it up a bit and got some more terrain into the painting cycle. So let's have a look. So first up, these are some of the latest releases from the excellent Bloody Miniatures. They're 28mm English Civil War figures, and I've got a few in my army, and I kind of stopped myself buying any more because they are absolutely beautiful, but I don't play 28mm ACW very often, and I've got more than I need to play a decent sized game against any of my opponents. And so I've kind of been, for once, been actually quite restrained on not buying too many. But then these came out and I just thought they're so nice. So these are obviously little cannons, and I don't know how I'll use them, what I'll use them for, but I just thought they were so really good. The crew members sort of double up. You can use them as you get the components to make them sort of engineers, or you can make them gun crews like these. And so that's what I've done. And I just thought it was a bit of a laugh, really. Really pleased I did actually pick them up. I put them on one base. Maybe in hindsight I should have put them on two, but I just thought I might just treat them as a sort of a small battery of light guns or something like that in the rules. But I'm not even sure how much they'll see the table. But they were just a lot of fun to do. Yeah, not much more to say other than check out Bloody Miniatures. Some fantastic 28mm ECWs. I'm still desperately trying to resist buying any of his cavalry. I've got enough. I don't need more. Maybe have another look. And then also this week I've sort of been embarking on a bit more terrain and building painting and assembling. So this is it's a Renedra building. I think I picked it up some time ago at one of the shows. Just because I've got a few sort of deserty looking buildings, and I thought you can never have too many of those sort of things, can you? And so I made it up the other day during one of our streams, I think, and just thought I'd have a quick wash of painting up, which is always really simple with these sort of things. So I painted it, I undercoated it in an off-white colour, and then gave it a thorough wash in AK Interactive Grime, and then drag brushed over with another off-white over the top of it, and then picked out sort of some of the exposed brickwork with a couple of different washes. And yeah, I mean, it's quite simple. It's not going to win any awards, but it will look fine on the table. Yeah, quite pleased to get it done. I am such a crap modeler that I still struggle with just getting everything to fit absolutely perfectly. There's an alarming lot of cracks and gaps in this model. It's incompetence of me rather than the model, I think. But actually, Martin, Seventh Son, just gave me a tip, which I should have thought of before, actually, but it's a really clever one, is that once you've assembled it, just use a bit of no nails and sort of run it down with your thumb through the gaps, and that fills the gaps. Don't know why I didn't think of that. Probably that's why he is the hobby hero of 2024, and I'm the numpty. Anyway, nice. I'm pleased with how it's come out actually, and it'll be fine. And another building complete. So I mentioned these fellas last week when I did an update. Some figures from Dixon Miniatures, which I haven't bought any from Dixon or had any Dixon figures for quite a few years. So it was kind of fun to pick up a few of their Ottoman range. Now these are kind of supposed to be from an earlier period, but as I mentioned before, they're not really an awful lot different for this period that I'm playing the Ottomans with. So these are Bosnian frontiermen, I believe is what they... what's happening there with the... There we go. Bosnian frontiermen. And looking at the artwork I've seen, or pictures I've seen in various reference books, they're a fairly colourful bunch, both in style of clothing and also in their fighting style. They were particularly effective and very, very good indeed. So I've done them in 2 to a base so that I can use them as a skirmish formation if I wished, and also bring them together as maybe as a small unit of light infantry. Great fun to do, and sort of one of the things I'm quite enjoying at Ottomans is sort of the sheer variety of colour. Makes it a lot of fun to do. So yeah, some frontiersmen finished for the Ottomans. Then next up, these are some more War of the Roses figures. So these are part of Richard of York's retinue that I put together. I think this will probably be the last unit I do for him. These are, well, they're predominantly Perry, in fact they're all Perry bodies, but largely Wargames Atlantic arms, both on the Billman and also on the Bowman. As I showed on one of my videos, I really enjoyed, which is very unlike me, but really enjoyed kit bashing and changing arms around and doing different poses with the Perrys, and adding those arms in, being able to do something a bit different has been fun. So that's what I did with these, and I'm quite pleased with the result, because you know the Perry figures are fantastic in lots of ways, but once you've put them together in one way multiple occasions, which I have, it's just nice to do something slightly different. So yeah, usual core of Billman, although there's a 200 axeman in there too, and Bowman on the wings, ready to form a retinue. So the next thing I have to show you in situ, because it's rather difficult to get on the turntables. It's actually quite big. So this is a broken bridge, stone bridge. It's a model produced in resin, so it's quite chunky. You put that in a sock and you could smack it around somebody's head and do them a mischief. Not that I'm suggesting that's a good thing to do. It's from Grand Manor Buildings, which is, again, the old Grosnards out there will remember Grand Manor. They were always the kind of go-to on real high-quality buildings. And they still do a lot of good stuff, actually. Really good, and you can buy it either painted or unpainted. I bought this unpainted because it's a doddle to paint, so didn't take long at all, but very satisfying. So I undercoated it black, and then used a variety of greys and off-whites and things to brush it up, sort of dry brush it to the sort of colour I want. I resisted the temptation to go in with lots of washes, because for a change, sometimes I think I overdo that, and so this time I didn't bother with any washes on this whatsoever. Just literally dry brushed it and used different tones and that sort of thing to get the different varieties I wanted. It's a nice model. I don't know how often I'll use it, but I've got lots of bridges now, and I wanted a broken one. In fact, in a game I'm playing here on the table, excuse me, it's going to feature in that, because it's been the bridge has been broken, communication is broken down, and we'll see what comes of the game as a result of that. So there you go, a broken down bridge. So I'm going to have to go freehand again, so I apologise for the shaky camera work. So also I've completed these emplacements, 2 sets of them. Now, they're resin. I'm not entirely sure where I got them from, if I'm honest. I bought them some time ago because I knew I was going to be doing the Ottoman forces, and one of the rules I'm kind of planning to instigate within my list is certainly for the heavy guns, they have to be emplaced at the beginning of the game. So I thought, well, I need some emplacements for that, so I bought these. Now, what I didn't realise was that, you can't really tell because, well, maybe you can, they're supposed to be joined up together, and so there's a dead cut there at the end of that last gabion, and it goes straight down. So they're clearly, you're supposed to buy something to taper it down, or a join of some sort, but because I don't know where I bought them from, I couldn't remember where I got them from and therefore buy any more. So I've kind of modelled my own with a bit of polyfiller and a bit of MDF, and it sort of works, and a few little rocks and what have you. So I've had to do that on both of these fellas. And yeah, there's a hill under there, so which is why that one raises up slightly. And it sort of works. Now it's huge. I used it in a game of ACW. I used one of them in a game of ECW the other night at the club, and it worked perfectly. But basically the apertures here and here are perfect for the size of the Ottoman heavy gun bases that I've got. So I can put them side by side, and they pretty much fill that middle section, which is exactly what I wanted. So I'm quite pleased with how they've come out. I think they're quite nice, and they'll be useful across multiple periods. So there you go. Gabions and emplacements. So having done a load of Ottoman infantry, I thought I'd better get on with some cavalry. So these are Ottoman Sipi. They are... So, again, reading is both a benefit and a curse. So the Sipi were kind of the core of the Ottoman heavy cavalry throughout late medieval through Renaissance, and indeed much later into my period, the Napoleonic one. But their sort of effectiveness had somewhat receded, depending on who you read. So they were kind of professional cavalry, but by the Napoleonic period, a lot of observers said that they'd sort of settled down and had regular jobs, because remember, most of the Ottoman forces were not paid. They were paid in food, but you know, they could earn a living by doing other things, and particularly maintaining horses is expensive business. So a lot of them became landowners and traders, and competed against the janissaries in terms of money and trade and what have you. So some suggestions that maybe they weren't what they previously had been. On the battlefield, they probably weren't heavy cavalry anymore. They were probably more light cavalry. But again, you read stuff where they definitely were wearing armour. There was some of the early campaigns against the Russians where they were definitely wearing armour. Reports of some of the troops in Egypt wearing mail and even having horse barding. So I don't know, whatever it is. But the rule of cool applies as always. So these are Dixon miniatures again. They are from their sort of late Renaissance period armies, and I just like them. I mean, again, the mono pose is a bit frustrating. There's only the one pose. All I did was swap out one of the lances you get with them for one sort of bear that I could put my own standard on. But other than that, they're all pretty much a muchness. And again, colours are difficult to decipher. The Ottoman forces generally went in for quite bright colours, so that's what I followed here. I don't know. They just look fun to have lots of different colour on a force, I think. I don't know whether the horse barding would have been decorated, but I tried to do a few basic kind of decorations on them. And yeah, I think it works out quite effectively. So there you go. Some Ottoman cavalry ready to see the table. So I mentioned back when I showed off the last lot of kerns I did for the War of the Roses period that I had another enough for another 3 bases, so I thought I'd better get my arse in gear and get them painted. So here's the other 3 bases of Kerns with some Gallagher in amongst them. They are Perry metals, and again, like I did with the last lot, I've sort of stuck more to more authentic colours. The Kerns apparently dyed their linen with saffron or something similar to get a sort of yellowy colour to them, so that's what I've gone with. I've gone with a variety of sort of yellows and lighter brown colours to sort of denote that. I've mixed in some Bowman, I've mixed in some of the Gala glass in there. There's Kerns with javelins and Kerns with 200 weapons, all sorts. But yeah, that's them finished. That'll be the last lot of Kerns I do, I think, for now. Certainly for the War of the Roses, I've got more than I possibly need. So finished, done, happy. So finally, these are some Arab light cavalry for my Ottoman forces. So these are, well, they're kind of I don't know what's gone wrong with me. I seem to have gone into a kit bashing frenzy. Well, to a limited degree anyway. So these are the Gripping Beast Arab light cavalry box set you can get. Plastic figures, quite reasonable, quite basic, but pretty good figures all in all. And I've sort of put a few extra arms on and made sure I've maximised sort of muskets and what have you from other box sets. So I've gone into the Afghan War Games Atlantic box sets and yeah, basically taken out muskets and various other things that are in that and put them on. And in some cases there's a guy here using War Games Atlantic arms, this one here as well, just to sort of have them more suitably armed for the Napoleonic period. There's still a couple of bowmen there because, again, reading the history, it seems like bowmen were a thing during the Napoleonic period in some of the Ottoman forces, but definitely they would have been replaced by musket-armed troops, which is what I've gone with. So, yeah, and also for the troops that I've used, I've tried to, well, 3 of them have got shields, but I tried not to use lots of shields because, again, by then shields are pretty much finished. No point in having a shield when a musket ball would go straight through it. And also given them sort of javelins and spears and that sort of thing, which I think sort of fits well with the description. Went with the white sort of kaftan or off-white kaftani type affair for the clothing, just because I thought that has a definite look of being Arab, and made sure that I got the heads that had plenty of sort of turbanage to them, rather than there are a few in the box that are a bit more I don't know how to describe it, but they're not quite as, to my mind, as obviously Arab. So yeah, quite happy how these came out, and some more cavalry for the Ottoman forces. So yeah, you can see a fair bit of painting underway and a bit of terrain, which, you know, I always say, we talk about it on the Plastic Crack a lot, is that if you need a bit of, you know, if your motivation for painting dips a little bit, or you just want to change it up, or you just need to do something different, get a bit of terrain, paint that up. A couple of buildings, some hedging, walls, whatever it may be. Actually, it's hard to paint hedging, but you know what I mean. That's always fun to do, so thoroughly recommend that as a route in. And it just so happened that I went on the Grand Manor website and saw some of their train items, and I thought, right, I'll pick up some of those to add to my collection. So talking about purchases, which I kind of was in a roundabout way, as I say, I bought that broken down bridge, I bought a couple of gun emplacements, and some sort of ACW fencing via Grand Manor. I love Grand Manor. They are a bit of a throwback. In fact, there's a bit of a theme on this week's site. You've got Dixon, which haven't featured for ages, or I haven't sort of bought anything for years. You've got Grand Manor, which have also been around for years. I've also got all the Essex figures that I bought recently, so it's interesting. Some of these figure manufacturers are still producing some high quality items. But yeah, as I say, I bought the stuff from Grand Manor. Thoroughly recommend their stuff. They always pack it really carefully. You can buy it painted, but for me, why would you bother? Painting terrain is kind of quite easy, I'm going to say. I guess if you're really not comfortable doing it, then buying it ready painted is a good option. Although I have to say it's quite expensive. Don't tell him that. Anyway, but really, really good. So check him out. Also, well, you saw them. I bought some of these Gripping Beast Arab light cavalry and horse archers. They're designed for a much earlier period than I'm using them for. But I thought, well, actually, kudos to Tim. I think I mentioned this in the video, in the painting section. Tim at Napoleonic Wargamer, he was talking about collecting an Ottoman army, and he rightly points out that it's blooming expensive because they're all metal. But one thing he suggested was potentially using these Arab figures as Arab cavalry in the Ottoman forces. And I thought that's a really clever idea, so I did. So I swapped and changed a few arms from mainly from Wargames Atlantic Afghan troops, added in a couple of those sort of very much Renaissance-y type muskets that they have in those box sets. And I think the effect's quite good. I reduced down the number. I did obviously put a couple of bowmen in there just for a bit of variety, because there's some evidence in the histories of the Ottoman army that even in the Napoleonic period there were a few bowmen circulating around. So I've left a couple of those in the pack, but mainly just focused on hand weapons and javelins or spears and that kind of thing, which is probably what the Arabs would have used in the Ottoman period, in the Napoleonic Ottoman period. So that was fun. I also picked up, mentioned before, because I'm sort of seemed a bit obsessed with gabions and things, so I picked up some more gabion things. This time I bought some bits that can go at the end, so I don't have to manufacture my own. And yeah, I bought these from, I think it's Northumberland Painting Services. They did them. They weren't expensive. They're obviously resin. The only issue I've got, I don't know whether you can see, possibly not. There's a sort of pinky colour in there, and I think that's part of the packing agent. And I had it in quite a few of them, and trying to get that out is really fiddly. So I have to see what effect that has on them when I paint them. I think that's all the purchases I've done. Been relatively restrained for me. Although there's a Warlord box arriving today, and I don't know what's in it. I didn't buy any. I have got a pre-order with Warlords, which is for the new American bolt action army book, but that's not out yet, so I'm not quite sure what's coming. So watch this space. It may be interesting. The other thing which I want to discuss, really, get people's views on. I've been looking at 3D printers. Yeah, I'll let that sink in for a minute. An old Groznard like me thinking about 3D printers. And those who've been around for a while, around the channel for a while, will know that I bought a 3D printer from Ken some time ago, a couple of years ago now, and it terrified me. I looked at it, I looked at all the videos online, and it absolutely terrified me, and I resold it for a small profit. Don't tell Ken that. And I've kind of thought, you know what, 3D printers are not for me, until they get to the point where it literally is point and shoot. You start them and you don't have to do anything to them. The cleaning them is easy, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this is a man who doesn't even have an airbrush, because I'm terrified of having to clean it, and the fact I'll probably destroy it. Actually, that's not true. I've got a battery one somewhere, but I've never used it. And so I've been looking at 3D printers. Now, what stemmed from this is that, unfortunately, it seems like more and more of the old manufacturers are disappearing. Also, the price of metal and plastic figures has gone up so much in recent times, and I'm relatively fortunate. Money isn't so much a concern anymore for me. Don't tell the wife that. But I'm thinking I can't really justify buying every option of Ottoman, for instance, all the different regiments I want to add to that. But 3D printing might be an option. However, I don't have a 3D printer. Although I work in the technology world, some of you may know I work in cybersecurity, but I don't do technology. I'm the PR man. I talk about it incessantly, and I have done around technology world for 30 plus years. And you pick up bits and bobs, but basically I am not technologically savvy. I can plug things in and press buttons and Google like a pro to find out the answer, but not. So the thought of taking a 3D printer terrifies me. However, there does appear to be a new range of 3D printers that are in the market now that are newbie friendly, shall we say? I was going to say new player friendly, but new printer friendly, that anybody apparently can pick up and use. But it's me, and I'm just thinking, do I really feel comfortable spending £200, £300, £400, whatever it's going to cost to buy a new printer, and just really not want to use it? So I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. Should I head into the wonderful world of 3D printing? It used to be said that it was another hobby within a hobby, that terrifies me because I don't really want another hobby. I'm quite happy with the hobby I've got, but if it's easy to use and I can print off a few figures occasionally when I need them, that might be an option for me. But I am still terrified about the idea of it. The smell, the cleaning up, the toxic waste that comes off it, and just that I'll break it. I know I will. So anyway, reassure me or tell me I'm correct. Reassure me I should try 3D printing if you're into it. If you've got one of these new, what is it, the Ergo Mars 5 Ultra, apparently it's just, you literally self-levels, you open up the box and you plug it in, install the Wi-Fi, and it does everything for you, apparently. Is that one? Is that a good one to go for? That's what I've been looking at. Anyway, let me know in the and if you're opposite and you've tried it, you've got horror stories, let me know. Just say, Dom, don't be stupid. Just get somebody else to print them for you. That was the other thing. I started to look at getting somebody else to print, because Martin is very good and he'll print the odd thing here and there, but he's got his own stuff to do, and I feel bad about asking him. But you know, I buy the resin for him. But when I've looked at third parties who print stuff, it's flipping expensive. I might as well go and buy plastic and metal. Anyway, so there you go. That's my thoughts. So let me know, 3D or not too 3D. That is the question. Gaming wise, so last week we played a game of must be our annual game of 28mm ECW English Civil War, using pike and shot rules from Warlord Games. I love the look and the feel of pike and shot period games. I think they're always fun. I think actually of the Black Powder, Hail Caesar and pike and shot rules, I actually think the pike and shot rules are the best. For me, they just work nicely. We played one of the scenarios from To Kill a King. There'll be a link up here because I recorded it. Now, I won't spoil that, but we played the Battle of Nantwich. It's a tough old scenario. I think we've played it before, but a long time ago. A lot of the scenarios in that book have a lot of hedging, which slows everything down. Now we chose, I played Royalists with Paul because we both have Royalist armies and like Royalist armies for this period, and Jonathan is more of a parliamentarian man, and Tony joined him. I don't think Tony minded either way, to be honest. And Alec joined in as well, which was nice. But in hindsight, probably having Jonathan, who is, by his own admission, a very defensive player, playing the parliamentarians who had to attack, and capture Nantwich from us was quite an interesting option. Again, I won't want to spoil the game if you're interested in it, but with a combination, lots of hedging, and all the parliamentarian forces were predominantly firearmed armed. They didn't have any pike at all. Meant that unless you were really aggressive, you just had to resort to firepower, and that probably wasn't going to cut it. Anyway, like I say, I won't spoil the game, but it was fun. We enjoyed it. We don't play many ECW 28mm games, but when we do, we really enjoy it, and it always looks great. So no game this week because it's Valentine's Friday, and me and Mrs. C are actually going out for dinner for a change. We don't generally go out for New Year because for Valentine's because A, the prices all go up like crazy, and B, it's usually midweek and we're busy and we've got other things on, and we go out quite a bit and do stuff all the time anyway. So, but I don't know why this time we decided we would, and because it's a Friday night, I decided I probably shouldn't go down the club this week, so I haven't done. However, I have been playing on the table here a solo game of Hail Caesar from the War of the Roses book. I made up my own scenario. I'm about halfway through it as I record this, so I will finish that off, and hopefully next week that can go up on the channel as well. But I love War of the Roses. I think it's such a great period. It's one of my favourite, I think, without fail. So that'll be that, and then I guess next week we'll also be down the club playing something, but I don't know what it'll be. We haven't decided yet, so watch this space. Anyway, that's what I've been up to. Really good fun, a really good couple of weeks, week and a half I guess it is. Plastic Crack was fun this week as well, talking about fantasy. I know nothing. And a little bit about fantasy, but that was fun too. So anyway, let me know what you think, what you're up to at the moment in your hobbying. Particularly interested in your thoughts around 3D printing. Should I do it? Should I not? I can't believe how many hours I've wasted in the last few weeks just looking at videos online about 3D printing, most of which just scare the bejesus out of me. But a few of them, they come on into this world. Anyway, stay safe, stay well. Thanks for watching. Hit that like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And I will see you all again soon. This is Dom, signing out.